Hello, everyone, and welcome again to another beautiful episode of the Pineapple Podcast, where it's all about being tough on the outside, sweet on the inside, and wearing your crown of gratitude proudly. Today, we have Mandy and Geoff. These guys are pioneering investors. They've really built their business and they've come a long way. And we're going to really unpack what is it you do as an investor in the highest and best use of your property or underperforming property. Guys, welcome to the Pineapple Podcast.
Thank you
Thanks,
so
Mitch.
much, Mitch, for having us. We're very honored to be here. Thanks.
Wonderful. Well, I want to jump into this conversation because I really couldn't wait to get you guys here because, I want to share your story, but I also want to unpack the fact many people come into different strategies and they're continuously searching, right?
Yeah.
So, today you guys are sort of pioneering the investment world. You have your little following of your own group and you're doing a lot to give back. But I want to capture the days when you were kind of figuring it out. Give us your backstory. How did you end up coming into real estate and why real estate?
Yeah. Well, it was, I think, kind of organic and a little bit accidental. I have an events and marketing and sales background. And so I was introduced into real estate through working for a company you're familiar with, Keyspire. They brought me on to manage the live events, so boots on the ground to do that. And just being surrounded by it every day, like that, real estate wasn't a thing for me. I just had a skill that their company needed at the time. And being surrounded for approximately, it was about 6 to 8 years with that, it really opened my eyes to the possibilities. Within it, I still had limiting mindsets, like self-limiting mindsets, watching other people do it and feeling that, this wasn't something that I could do, even though I was surrounded by it. But over the years, I just gradually warmed up to it. And it was really COVID that sort of pushed us out of our comfort zone. Live events were dead for a couple of years there, and we had to figure something out. We had already made a decision that that's what we were going to do. We were going to move forward with real estate, but the timing was very scary, where we had put 2 properties under contract. We were still working for the company. Geoff also worked for the company for about 8 months before COVID, and then we lost our jobs. Events were dead and we had 2 properties. So it was a bit scary, but what that did was it forced us to focus on what we had kind of been afraid to focus on, because we had that comfort zone of a paycheck and we were busy with our jobs. So yeah, that's how we ended up in real estate. It was not a very direct journey.
I love that.
It's a long journey for both of us, and we sort of both have a little bit different stories. Mandy, having worked for Keyspire, I came out of the security industry, so I worked for a company that did access control and CCTV installations across Canada.
Right.
And did that for about 20 years, as far as being on that side of things, being involved with new construction, but on the security end of things. And then again, like Mandy said, once I had sort of changed my careers a bit anyway and ended up working for Keyspire, and then the COVID really pushed us forward and gave us that boost, and it was scary. Like Mandy mentioned, we had 2 properties under contract and didn't know what the economy was going to do. We didn't know what the industry was going to do. We had no idea what was going to happen, and we pushed forward. And luckily, we all know what happened over the last 2 years, and it has given us the ability to be where we are now, and really moved our business from just starting out to now we've grown to looking at developments. We have a number of multi-tenants that we've done, and we're just moving and grooving and moving forward.
Yeah.
No, absolutely. I love that. I mean, that is, you can't get any more real than that in the terms of you're faced with life situation. But like you say, there's a big philosophy. Tony talks about this all the time. Life happens for you, not to you. That's a clear demonstration, because it is nerve-wracking when you have to give up that security check every month coming from your job, and suddenly there's no check coming. You got to figure it out pretty quickly, right?
Yeah. COVID kicked us in the pants. Yeah. We really made a decision at that point to put our heads down and focus on what was in front of us and just take what we were basically dealt, right? And it both a curse and a blessing, but it was an amazing journey. We started with flips because that was sort of what felt most natural to us in terms of our skill sets.
Right.
I quickly moved into multifamily and then into developments. And so people talk about having a niche, you know, or a niche strategy. We haven't focused on just one strategy because we've sort of been finding our way as we go. And I think that's scary for a lot of people, but it also affords a lot of learnings. You learn a ton by just doing it and going for it. And those opportunities have come our way. So we've accepted them and moved forward with them. Yeah, but I would say our niche is distressed properties, underperforming, bringing things back to life, but that can be like over many different strategies. So yeah, just that, adding value to distressed small markets and bringing those properties back to life.
Yeah, and I mean, we love the BRRRR strategy.
Yeah.
We follow it through with small buildings with the larger multi-tenants, and the last project we just completed was a major conversion from a 4-unit building to an 8-unit building. So we like to look at that and really, when we're looking at renovations, it's not necessarily just renovate and make it look new again. It's changing footprints, relaying out the building, maximizing highest and best use of that property or that building, to make sure that it's gonna be worth a lot more when we're finished than when we started.
Yeah, totally. Now, I love what you guys are sharing here because this is really important, right? And to your point, you like you said, you kind of started figuring it out. It's, you know, mistakes every day until you kind of get to where you want to get to. And I've also recognized that. That's why coming into 2023 now, I'm actually running a workshop which is called Business Planning and Development. Because I truly believe that people do need that few years instead of trying to organically figure it out. Why not do it as a plan, right? And that's my strength as well. So I really look forward to get that going, because I think that people can get to where you are in a more structured way. And
100%.
and you know the fact that you're sharing that, you know, you're looking at highest and best use for underperforming property. That's huge because people don't sometimes understand that you can look at a building and you just see a building. And some people look at a building and they see an eightplex, a sixplex. They can see 2 levels. They can see a basement being redone so that you can put an apartment in there. So, you know, I want to capture that with you guys based on the experience that you've gone through. And you've gone through sort of, you walk the walk, talk the talk until you learned it, and now you kind of accelerate at it. But when you look at a distressed property, and if I'm a new guy coming in and I'm standing with you, what would you tell me to look for? What are some of the key indicators or key metrics that you look at and say, hey, you know what? To me, this makes sense, you know?
For us, I think one of the biggest things is obviously looking at underutilized space. So space where you may have a basement. It's a great example for our last conversion. There was a basement that had a couple rooms in it that were originally someone's office, potentially. We're not sure what it was used for.
Right.
It was around 900 square feet of space. And so, I mean, instantly for us, that the light bulb came on. That's a unit. Whether it's a 1-bedroom, a bachelor, or a studio apartment, we're not sure, but we know there's space for a unit. Same thing when looking at floor plates. So if I look at a second story of a building and there's 2 units that are, say, 1,500 square feet each, they might be two 2-bedroom units. Well, potentially there's a way to reconfigure and add in a 3rd unit. Maybe go from 1,500 square foot to 1,200 square foot on the units, and then squeeze something in to have an extra unit. We're very big on adding housing. So we don't want to just renovate a building that's a 4-unit and end up with a 4-unit building. If we can end up with a 5-unit building, we've added a unit to the market. We're trying to be a part of the solution to the housing crisis, where we're adding units as much as we can.
And keeping them within reach for the community that we're placing those units in. It's great to go in and overhaul a unit, you know, add luxury finishes, make it really amazing. But if you're boxing out the people who live in that community and they can no longer afford to live there, that doesn't really sit well with us. I've been a renter my entire adult life, so I understand both sides of the coin as a landlord and a renter. So what, as Geoff was saying, we really try to both add housing to the market, but also keep it within reach and affordability for the people that need it and are using it. So, to continue with what we look for, I mean, there was a garage there. Is this specific building originally was a single family home that was sort of added onto and ended up a 4-unit building. Yeah, so it had a garage attached to a massive 2-bedroom already, and it had a lot of parking, like the parking lot was large. So we recognized that that wasn't really a need for that unit. We could make another housing unit there out of that garage. So yeah, we took it from 4 to 8 without changing the footprint of the building, just maximizing the internal unutilized space.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Geoff.
Sorry, Mitch. So just to continue on with that list, so the things we would look for, one is sort of overutilized space, so apartments that are bigger than they need to be for the region or for the area. Commercial spaces that could be subdivided into residential spaces with the potential to rezone, or getting a zoning amendment from the city to convert a commercial space to a residential space. Looking at additions on the building, such as garages. And then one of the big things that we always make sure with these buildings is there's ample parking. Because if you want to add units to these buildings, most municipalities obviously have parking bylaws where you need to have a certain number of parking spaces for the units you create. So you always need to make sure, if you're going to, say, for example, do a 9-unit building, follow the parking bylaws, make sure you've got the number of spaces required for that region, potentially up to 18 spaces for a 9-unit building. So you have to make sure you've got sufficient space on your lot to do what you want to do.
Yeah, I absolutely love the fact that you're sharing this with us. And just for the viewers as well, like, let's understand here that this is what you have to have the eye for in order to see the vision, but also from an investment perspective. So I'm taking a 4-unit, I am investing X dollars into it, and then it's going to come out with a new value. So for the viewers, let's understand that. What was kind of like around the purchase price, rough budget estimate, and then what did the end value come off of this property? So people get an understanding of why this strategy makes sense and why you've embraced it.
Yeah, we purchased it for $650. Our budget, well, we all know how budgets go sometimes, right? The budget going in was a little less than what it came out with, but God willing, the end value recouped all of that. So we put about $350 in.
Yeah, almost 400.
Yeah, and then it was once it was stabilized and reappraised, it came back at 1.7. So yeah, and the operating income was significantly had a significant jump as well. What did we start at? You're the best.
Yeah, so when we purchased the building, the net operating income was right around 30 to 35,000.
Right.
And then once we were completed, our net operating income is about 130,000. So so it's a huge jump on the building, and obviously that's how we ended up with such a nice valuation as far as the 1.7 appraisal on the building, is because we did maximize the best use of the building, and we were able to put in slightly higher rents. Obviously, as you turn over these units and you're getting a new unit, we were able at the time to have vacant possession.
Right.
That's another thing that obviously is tough going with doing conversions on these buildings.
But I wanna sort of capture some really important things here, because it's not just about the money. The reason why I asked the question, and thank you for sharing this, is because I want people to realize good deals are found. You found a good deal.
They're everywhere.
Great deals are made.
Yes.
Exactly.
And this is your strategy. When we talk about highest and best use, when we talk about underperforming properties, you need to have that vision and that foresight. You also need to have some idea of what you can do. And you've gone through a lot of information here, and I just want to unpack a few things here because I'm sure people are they're not going to grab all of it at the same time. But your sharing is incredible. When you go look at the property, you're
Yeah.
already checking parking. Is there enough parking for the idea I have? Because additional units, more parking space, right? So that's important. The other thing is, like you say, you looked at the basement. Well, here's a big opportunity. You can convert, you can add, you can divide it up, clean up the whole thing, and make it more. In this case, you said there was so much room around you that you were able to basically double the size of the building in terms of the apartments.
Yeah.
What I also loved is your framing. You've come from the renter's world. You've seen both sides of the coin. So it's not just about, I want the money, I want the money. You want value. You want community.
Yeah.
To me, that's important because that's how you grow as a community, as a country, with people helping people in the best way possible. It is a business. Don't get me wrong.
Of course.
You do have to charge a price in order for you to pay your bills and everything else. That's the way the system works. But I love the fact that you're framing it into, I'm investing in a community and I want the community to prosper along with me. So that to me is a big piece of the puzzle that a lot of people sometimes don't understand.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to really make sure we capture that you look at community, look at property, and yeah, then you start dissecting it. So I love the fact that you have such a keen eye to look at a place and say, okay, maybe we do this, we do that, we do the other, and then we bring it together, right? So give us a sense now of what are you guys working on? What are some of the exciting projects or things that's keeping you busy?
Yeah, to just go back just a little bit before I mean, it's connected, but
Yeah.
looking at these, so because our next project is a rather underperforming property, so we'll talk about that. But
Yeah.
a lot of people shy away and are fearful of the ugly duckling, right? That property that just looks a little scary, the exterior is not so great, inside, is a mess. Honestly, when we see that, we are happy, we're excited. That's our passion, is getting in there and bringing quality of life back to those areas. So and what it affords you is massive lift on the property. Right now it's going to be undervalued because it's doing so poorly and doesn't look so great, but in the future, if you can just, really, it doesn't take a lot. You peel it back, clean it up, reconfigure some things, make it more efficient, and it becomes a greater home for somebody.
Absolutely.
Just because they're a lower income bracket does not mean that they don't deserve a great, clean, safe place to live. So that is what we're moving forward with in our next project. It is in another very tiny market in the town of Teeswater, Ontario, which some people may or may not know, but in the broader market of Bruce County, so South Bruce, near Kincardine area, Southampton. That property has significantly low rents, and it has been neglected by previous owners, just not putting in the time or the funds to keep it up to date and working. So what we're doing with that is overhauling all of the units. They're actually illegal units. They don't have windows in bedrooms, things like that. So we're overhauling that to bring it all up to code, make it safe, efficient, and we've invited some of the tenants back as well to enjoy those spaces once they're completed. Nobody wants to live like that, so we approach it with a human element and have a conversation and say, look, like, we want to make this better for you. How do you feel about that? And then move forward. So it's a 7-unit building, 6 residential currently with 1 commercial space, which we're at the front end of. So we're still working out the official design and plans and what we're going to do with that. We may add another commercial component. We may keep it residential, but that's what we're working on right now.
Yeah, no, I love that.
And
Yeah.
at the same time, we're also working on, like we mentioned, we're moving into developments. So we're
Yes.
working on a development in Owen Sound,
Okay.
where we're looking at 46 stacked towns plus another 6,000 square feet of commercial space.
Wow.
So it's a larger development. This one will be a condo development. So we'll be selling off the stacked towns and maintaining the commercial component of the site for ourselves as our contribution, or our payout from the project, so to speak.
Yeah.
But I mean, developments are a whole other beast once you start looking at them. I mean, they take a lot of time. There's a lot more downtime in developments where you're waiting on other people, especially at the front end when you're going through site plan approval.
Yeah.
And that's where we're at. So what we're doing is we're working on the larger developments, and then at the same time fitting in these smaller 6, 8, 10, 12 unit buildings that we can do our magic to and bring them back to life and add units and do all the things we like to do. And then at the same time work on the larger developments.
Nice. I love it. And I see, you got your little message on your sweater there. So I want to talk about that a little bit, because I think that's brilliant as well. So the idea behind finding these properties, though, is you're keeping them, you're refinancing them, and they're becoming part of your portfolio or your family of properties, right? I think that's a great strategy as well. And I want people to really understand, when you're flipping, it isn't always about flipping to yourself. Like now is probably the worst market to do flips in, except if you're flipping to yourself.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I see that that's the passion there as well. But the fact that you're doing the development, I know Owen Sound is a gorgeous town. Good on you for that. I think that's just absolutely brilliant. So if I were to grow and develop my business as well, what are some of the tips you'll give me in terms of if I want to jump into land development? Like what is the beware of, and what are some of the exciting things that you like?
Yeah. Number one, and I think this is with anything, and it goes back to where we started as well. And we did say it was organic. Yes, it was very organic the way we grew. But what we did make sure that we did from day one was surround ourselves with smarter people. So, surrounding yourself and reaching out to people who are already doing it, who have been there, and who you trust, and who are going to support you along the journey. So, we were fortunate to have been in the community of Keyspire that, gave us a great launching pad. But we also joined other, masterminds and things that would keep us accountable and keep us growing, and that we could learn from those people. So, take the course, go to events and start asking people, what they do. And don't be afraid to ask questions. Without that type of support, like, honestly, I don't think we would be where we are. We really did a great job of surrounding ourselves with people that would support us through the journey. So that for sure is number one that I would say.
I wanna hold you on that one, number one. This is important. Like, you've just unpacked something that a lot of people they challenge themselves with. They make the investments in themselves, and sometimes it's like, oh, I'm paying too much, I don't want to pay. The reality is, when you put your dollar behind an investment in yourself, you want to get something out of that. When it's free, it could be pure gold. If it's free, people just don't have value for it. So the fact that you're saying that you're joining other communities, you're joining educational programs to develop yourself, I love that, because I'm also of that same school, and I do the same thing. I invest a lot because they really and truly, I found that when you put that money out, and the more you put out, the more committed you become in your own education and your own development. Sometimes you say, damn, I already put the money, I'm going to look at the video, I'm going to read the book, I'm going to do the assignment, just because I know I put the money out. And so I've shared that with quite a few people, and that the fact that you're sharing that back to me today is brilliant, because it just reinforces the fact, guys, you want to go somewhere, there is a gap in your skills. You came from a background of a job or some other career path. You want to scale? Don't be afraid to invest in yourself. You're talking about making millions of dollars.
Yeah.
You know, so if you spend a few $1,000 to make a few $1,000,000, that's a good investment any day, you know?
100%.
Absolutely.
And learning from other people, right? Like,
yeah. And one key of caution with that is
Yes.
don't throw all your education eggs into one basket. Focus on
Absolutely.
learn. Education in real estate is important, but so is education on growing and scaling your business. So is education on growing and scaling yourself. And don't limit yourself to following just real estate education. There's a lot more to this business than just knowing the numbers and cap rates and how all that works.
Yeah.
There's way more to it.
like mindset, you know,
That's
self-development and working on, you know, your self-value, and self-worth, and conquering comfort zone bubbles and getting past those bubbles.
Yes.
I would also add a bit of, I don't want to say caution to education, but balance with implementation, because you can get caught in that education bubble. Education. I'm just going to pay for all the courses, go take all the courses, go to all the networking events, but you're not taking the time back to set a plan for yourself and move forward and implement. I learn best by implementing. I need to see it in front of me. I need to see how it all plays out in an actual transaction. And that's how I learn best. But, you know, you have to have a foundation to start with that education. So just a cautionary tale, not to get stuck in just learning. You have to do it. You have to go at one point and just make the jump and do it.
Right. And the point is definitely there, because ultimately in every sort of education program you jump into where it's about the people teaching you, that is the fundamental. You have to take action. Reading the books, getting the knowledge is of no value if you don't take the action. So, you know, you're framing these things beautifully, because I also come from that background, having done work with Jack Canfield, Tony Robbins, and these guys, and the fundamentals and the philosophy holds true, and you're demonstrating that. When you educate or you invest, make that investment. That's the first thing. You're taking massive action there. The next thing is implement. Even if you didn't capture everything, the fact that you make the implementation, you'll be surprised how many things come together, and suddenly the course or the investment with the people that you're in suddenly makes sense, because now you're going to see the value in it. So the taking action, I think, is the big piece, where I would say that is the fundamental behind taking courses. Instead of saying it's cautionary, it's like, just be prepared to truly invest. Invest your time and then put it to work. So don't sign up for 3 or 4. It's impossible then, right? But one at a time, implement it, test it, make sure you're comfortable with it, and talk. Community is really what has been enabling people like you and myself to really be able to get out of the regular 9 to 5 sort of environment. It's because of community.
100%.
So the sharing is there, you know, and I think the sharing and caring is a big piece of it. But the fact is, you still have to take action. You still have to be prepared to invest in yourself and know that it's an investment. There is an ROI to it, and you have to put a plan in place to realize the ROI.
So that was your number one. That
was number one. That was a big one. Okay.
Number 2. So we're back to. I'm almost forgetting what the question was. So yeah, I think I'm going to put up the hand here. So you had asked us what, basically how to scale, like what we have done.
Yes, like how do you continue to grow your business?
Yeah. Okay.
So hold on.
We did education.
Wait. Okay.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
We did it. So we did education. We did implementation.
Right.
Finding your people, and I know these are all very theoretical, but you know, as a personal experience, once we were actually doing it, and we were doing great at it, you know, our flip did amazingly. We were doing great on our conversion. I got to a point where I was feeling a little bit misaligned with my core values to what we were doing in the business. Like I needed to have a purpose. I needed
Right.
to feel like I was making a positive impact and working with the right people. So finding your tribe and your people, and what I did myself, and it took me a while to get there because I had to get over my limiting mindset, was to put myself out there and build my own community to find my people, which was a sustainably focused group, where, you know, people are thinking beyond just the dollar, and thinking about social and environmental impact, affordability, things like that, and incorporating those things into their projects, whether that be the materials they use or, you know, an affordability component on their rentals. But so really just not, so doing your best to pay attention to what is important to you and finding a way to build that into your business so that you feel good about what you're doing. I always phrase it as I had to marry my hippie self. I'm a little bit of a hippie. Marry my
Nice.
hippie self
Yeah.
with my
Yes.
capitalist self, because I
Right.
mean, money's great, but for me, it's not great if I don't feel good about how I'm earning it. So that would be the third. Do you have a fourth?
I think that pretty much covers them all, but to continue along that line of giving back, I mean, for us, the sustainability piece is very big for us, and having some type of social impact through affordable housing or that like. But there's lots of other things that we know as from other investors that they're doing, where we have a friend of ours who they give back $10 a month of rent from every unit they own is going into a charity. Other investors that are spending time to give back to the community,
through
Habitat for Humanity or whatever other builds you can do.
Yes.
And I think as we as investors, we really owe it to the communities that we're working in to give something back.
Yeah, definitely. And I wanna unpack a few things here as well, because people need to understand from a framing perspective what you're talking about. It's fundamental to the fact that money, as you rightly say, money really, it's nothing. It's paper at the end of the day. But what money does, it enables you to be the true you. When you have a heart of passion and compassion, when you really truly believe in community, then, you know, as you rightly said, Mandy, you were working, making the money, but you were not finding satisfaction because there was a misalignment.
Yeah.
It is because you did not find what's passionate in you as yet. It didn't come together. But when you have enough money, you can really explode your passions. And I think that's why it's important. We talk often about community. So people tend to have, you know, whatever they are in their nature tends to explode and become stronger and better when there is money. So the fact that you can run a viable business or profitable business really is important, and it's fundamental because now you can explore the different types of strategies, the different type of charities. You know, sometimes it's just about developing a city or a certain area. It might be, as you rightly say, in Teeswater, there's abandoned buildings. Like, why not bring it to life, right? So you start to explore your passion, and passion is what gives you momentum. So every day now you're getting up, you're ready to go. The day, the day goes by quickly. It doesn't feel like work, and it's real. Like the 9 to 5ers, you don't feel that. It's like, it's almost like I love my job, but I do have to show up and I do have to do this. But when you get up and you're like, I want to do this, and this is going to be something that I leave either to my kids or a legacy, because let's face it, we're all here for a short period of time. But what can we do to give and contribute? Because as a community, we are stronger. Going it alone, it's a lonely road, it's a lonely road. So you
so
guys, go ahead.
Finding like-minded people, right? And we say that a lot, but there's more to like mind than real estate, right? Like we can have real estate in common, but there's a lot of other things about how we operate as individual, unique human beings. Do we have that in common, right? So that's sort of what we're calibrating now and working towards, is really aligning ourselves with the people that have the same core values as we do, and moving forward with them in our business to have positive impact and grow our portfolios and achieve financial freedom. So
yeah, we like to say we're making connections, not contacts. And
Yes.
there's a lot of people that are out there making a lot of contacts, but until you make that connection, you don't know what the person's really about.
yeah,
That is absolutely
deeper
true.
connections. Yeah,
That's right. And that is true. That is the fundamental philosophy of a community. You got to connect. It's, having a Rolodex of X number of people makes no sense anymore. You got to have that intimacy. And one of the important things too that you're framing in, I often teach this as well, is you have decided to become an entrepreneur when you came into this space. You've decided to grow yourself as that business. And real estate is just the medium by which you're doing it, right? Because you need a money vehicle. At the end of the day, you could have gone in stocks. There's many other vehicles. You could have gone consumer goods businesses or whatever, but you chose this avenue. But you're really choosing this avenue as the medium to get you better at you. Because when you become the entrepreneur, your business can only grow as much as you can. Your business could never outgrow you. So that's why the fundamentals we talk about, investing in yourself, building community, creating relationships versus contacts. I think those are the key fundamental pieces. And I love the fact that you shared it so intimately well with us because you're clearly demonstrating it, right? And you're living those values. And I think people are going to get a really good insight of what this business is really about. Don't worry about the technical details. That's available everywhere. It's the passion, it's the heart, and it's connection. At the end of the day, you want to go places, man, join the community, get together, and you can move mountains together, right? So I love that. So tell us then, what's in the future? What are you guys thinking? I know land development, that's going to be huge. That's going to take up a lot of your time, but is that the area you're focusing going forward, or it's still going to be sort of a multi-strategy?
I think we'll continue with a multi-strategy. Geoff mentioned earlier that our plan is, as the longer term development process moves forward, we're going to pepper those smaller projects in between, both to keep us busy, but also to we're very hands-on, so to keep that going for us, so that we're enjoying it. And for the long-term vision, we want to go to island life. So it's about setting ourselves up for the life, the future life of retirement that we see for ourselves. My parents are from the Azores Islands of Portugal, and it's always been my passion before real estate and my vision to retire there on the island that they were from. And Geoff fell in love with the island as well. So that's what we're working towards. We are looking to, our eyes are set on some short-term rentals as well. So that's a space that we haven't yet conquered.
Right.
And we'll keep to our way of just kind of bringing in multiple strategies. We like to explore different strategies, but we'll do the same thing. We'll put our signature on it and take underperforming STRs, create something there that's a really unique experience that people will want to visit, and that we can visit too. So it's really part of our plan. We want to bounce around those short-term rentals ourselves, with our home base being in the islands, and that's the dream. That's the big dream.
I absolutely love that. I think that's brilliant. Love the vision. Love where you're planning to go with this. And I know you guys are big as well. As you say, you have your community. But what's the best way for people to usually connect with you or contact? Because I know you're big on sharing as well.
Of course, yeah. They can reach us at our email. We have a shared email that is our company name, so Twisted Cedar Group at gmail.com. I'm accessible on Facebook and Instagram with Twisted Cedar Mandy. You can find Geoff as well on Instagram. But happy to speak to anybody who wants to reach out. And if there's alignment there, we can move forward together and grow and learn together. And that's what we're passionate about. I also have a group called Sustain, Real Estate Investors for the Planet. It is a sustainably focused real estate investor group. So it was my vehicle to learn more about how I could work those things into my projects. So I recognize I can learn from others. If we all learn together, create this community. I bring a speaker in who's involved in the sustainability space once a month, and we learn and grow together in that platform too. So you're welcome to join us there as well.
Love it, love it. And what I'll do, I'll put your contact information in the comments so that people can connect with you.
Absolutely.
Guys, again, thank you so much for being our guest at the Pineapple Podcast. We've really enjoyed today's session as well. So to our viewers as well, guys, remember, hit the like, subscribe, and notify button as we grow our base. And remember, it's all about being tough on the outside, sweet on the inside, wearing your crown of gratitude proudly. We wish you the absolute best in your journey of real estate and great successes. Take care.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.